for us, Tile Doctor meant remedies, solutions, healthy, wellness. And so we look for products that fit under that mantra. It's really about the industry and what others have done and can teach us to up their game. How to make the tile industry better. And we're a close-knit family. I mean, I've got relationships that go back to high school with people that have since retired in our business, that ran some of the biggest companies, on and on. And those people are all real special to me for those long-term relationships, even though we've been competitors over the years.
We have a very special guest today on Up Your Tile Game. It's Mr. Curt Rapp of the Tile Doctor, who happens to sponsor this podcast. And we're just so thrilled to have you on today, Curt, so we can talk to you more about the Tile Doctor and how all this got started with your company and, just where you are today with being in this industry. So, we first just want to start with like how you got started with the Tile Doctor, why you started the company. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Tile Doctor was started in 2000, and it was really the result of some time I spent working for a home center, running their tile business. And there was these how-to clinics that were given on weekends on how to tile, and they were so well attended by just the public in general. People wanted to know how to tile. So when I decided to take some time off, it was really kind of I called it a retirement jokingly, but I just really wanted to stop working for big companies. I'd done that for so many years. And Tile Doctor was really started at a surfaces show in the hotel room in Vegas. We just got a bunch of big sticky notes. This guy, Paul Wilson, and I, who was the original Tile Doctor himself, personality, we just put a bunch of pages up on the wall in the hotel room and started writing out the site. And it was really information only on how to tile, to try to just service that need for the consumer's thirst for how to tile. And it was, like I said, at Home Depot it's a good example. I mean, it was the most attended clinic. People really wanted to know how to tile. They weren't as afraid of it as they were of some other floor covering, because if you make one wrong cut on a piece of vinyl, the whole vinyl's no good. But on tile, hey, that one's bad, throw it away, put another one down. So it's a little bit more of a DIY type of project. So we put 1,000 pages of information out, which is still there in the resources section today, because that's kind of our claim to fame. We became the most traveled website in the world for tile information. 2003, PC World named us one of the top 101 free websites in the world.
That's incredible.
That maybe got me a cup of coffee. It wasn't really worth much, but it was good to be known. And I would travel places. Like I attended a show one time in Brazil, and somebody goes, "Oh yeah, I know you, Tile Doctor." And I thought, nah. And he goes, "No, I was just on your website last week," and he told me exactly. I was like, "Okay,
wow,
that's true." So we were getting 10 million unique visitors a year. Not hits, but unique visitors.
And back then, that's a lot. It's a lot today, but back then, wow.
But in our industry, there's no real brand. So there was no way to monetize an information-only website. So we started looking at products. How could we actually start to monetize this brand, the Tile Doctor? And for us, Tile Doctor meant remedies, solutions, healthy, wellness. And so we look for products that fit under that mantra.
So it sounds like to me that like got born out of a passion of your work in tile from the beginning, and then how you wanted to service the community and anyone who wants to know about it, from DIYers to architects, designers, tile contractors.
Yeah, so my father, who's just turned 86, November 13th.
Happy birthday to him, belated.
Got me into it after school weekends, working at a company that he was the general manager of, and I started sweeping floor, stacking pallets. And I just remember I told you the story when I was a child, and I remember, exactly what age I don't remember, but I remember seeing an interview with Burt Reynolds, and he said his second favorite thing in life was tile. And I thought, man, my dad's in the right industry. this is this is
Movie
pretty cool.
stars and tile. You can't beat that.
And they showed pictures of the tile in Burt Reynolds' house and all this. And it was just very cool.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
it's just a funny childhood memory. And there's people in our industry who worked with my dad. Maury Weiner is his name. Started a company called Comagra,
Hmm.
and his son Matthew is now running a tile company that he owns, and he's second generation. I'm second generation. My brother's in the tile business, and then his son now is working for, if I can say the company name, Arizona Tile. I'm going to go ahead and
Hmm.
plug him out. He's in Seattle, so he's a third generation Rapp in the tile business now.
That's very interesting. It's kind of in your blood, it seems like.
Well, we like to say that, yeah. I mean, but it's an industry that once I think everyone that hears this that is in our industry will say, you know what, once you get in, there's no leaving it. It's very rare somebody will actually leave our industry. There's so many opportunities within the industry itself that it's easy to, even if you need to change companies, you can stay in the same industry.
Yeah, this is the thing that it seems like to me, as I've learned, is that there's so many facets, so many ways to be connected to this industry that most people wouldn't even know about. So that's been very fascinating for me to learn.
Well, the one interesting fact, kind of, did you know, um, tile's the only consumer product, or probably the only product that's remained the same price at wholesale since World War II. The price has not changed. Manufacturing efficiencies have allowed the cost to virtually stay the same. Where a loaf of bread might have been a nickel then and it's $2 now, the wholesale price of tile is still the same.
That's incredible. I remember you saying that before, and I was like, "How could that be?" But you're right. It's all the advancements and all the technology that's gone into the industry.
Yeah, and you interviewed Bo and Jimmy and I when we were in Italy, and that's one of my favorite things to do is arrive the week before and get in some of these factories and see some of the. I mean, you see a kiln that's 2 football fields long that's now producing so much tile at such a low cost compared to 10 years ago. It's really just phenomenal.
That's exciting because it keeps it vital, and it's so it's kind of an irony that it's such an ancient art, ancient thing that is still vital today, and maybe part of that industry, part of the technological advancements helps that to be so.
I've read before that they say that baked clay, whether tile or pottery or whatever, is if not the oldest, it's one of the oldest industries ever. That trading baked clay pots and tiles and things goes back to Christ. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
that's phenomenal.
yeah.
As I was looking, over your website and just everything that you've put out there as far as like information related to tile, it's about innovation, about seeking patents, as you said, and registering trademarks and expanding the quality offerings. So, could you tell us a little bit about, what that means to you and what you have done since the inception back in 2000 to move in that direction?
So the biggest singular event is a partner that I brought in. His name's Silver Cornea.
Hmm.
He was head of R&D at Valtile for 23 years. We actually met there working with the company Ralph Lauren. They wanted a
Oh, really?
line of flooring products, and we were going to produce it for Home Depot. When Home Depot had Ralph Lauren paint, they wanted to expand that into flooring. Silver and I met and worked together very closely there, and he's a unique individual. And bringing him in was an important part because he was able to identify some of these technologies that are maybe sometimes overlooked.
Hmm.
And one is an antimicrobial product that has become pretty timely now. Um, so that's one of the things we received a patent on in 2018, and a floating floor system for porcelain tile. That the first time tile doesn't need adhesive or grout. We received that uh, 1 month before COVID hit.
Mm.
So now we're kind of going back and resurfacing and looking around at who potentially could be a partner for that product because it puts porcelain tile on par cost wise with less desirable types of flooring made of plastic and other things that you know are really not good for the environment. But this gets tile on a cost wise par with that. So we're
That's
excited about
great.
that. And that won the Edison Award in 2021 for best new product in flooring installation systems.
That's awesome. And then the antimicrobial product that you were talking about, that's the Tile Doctor Shield, isn't that correct?
Yeah, it is, and again, it's an interesting discovery because when I called Silver and he's in Italy, and I said, "Look what I found," he said, "Oh, you're full of it. If something would do this, I should have heard about it. I would know." And
You got one up on him this time.
yeah, I'm not a scientist. He is, so I just kind of
Mm,
repeated the talking points. But it was invented by Dow Corning in the '70s. It's got 50 years of history. We, meaning Silver and I, but mostly Silver, just invented the formulation and the process that's patented to make it durable on tile and in grout and
mm,
luxury vinyl tile. It can go on there. It's not a heavy metal. It's not a poison or a toxin. It's just literally an 18 carbon chain that's like diamonds that pierces the cell of the microbe. But yeah, just it's a mechanical kill, so there's no effect on the environment, no negative effect on the environment. It's just a very safe and effective product.
that's so smart. And from what you know, the literature is on that. It's like there's no VOCs, correct?
You know,
No, and it's non-toxic. It's safe around, it's safe around your children. It's safe around your pets. I mean, um, and it can be used on any hard surface in your house, and then even on your clothing, right?
yeah, it originally was invented for safe next to skin odor control. It
Hmm.
was at one time under the biggest brands in the textile industry, but this technology got abandoned in favor of easier to get
Mm,
heavy metals like silver that you could get in India or Vietnam or China where they produce these textiles, and it was hard to get this technology over there and get it applied properly.
right.
And we just worked with the folks at Dow in Midland, Michigan, who had never really looked outside of textiles. Matter of fact, they when they answered the phone, they tried to talk me out of flying up there. And I said, "Look, it's just a $170 flight to Flint, Michigan. Let me come talk to you."
Mm.
And, that's kind of where that all started.
I think that's such an incredible product. I mean, it kind of blew me away when I first heard about it, as far as like all the people that I know, and especially COVID and coming out of COVID, and who knows what else could come down the pike, as far as a pandemic is concerned, or any issues like that. Just to have that extra layer of protection is really an awesome way to do it and not have any toxicity associated with it. That's
Well, what most people
wild.
don't initially understand because the technology's been around so long is a lot of times they look at me like I got an extra eyeball. Like, there's no way this can't be real. I would have heard about it, just like Silver said, right?
Right.
But it's the only product in the world that once applied, it works and works continually to self disinfect and self sanitize a surface. It's
Mm.
not something you're just reapplying and you get a one time kill. It continues to work. So it creates this biostatic surface treatment that is effective 24/7.
See, the geek in me just loves that. So, some other products that you have also taken on. Tell us a little bit about your association and your collaboration with Lidocol.
Yeah, Lidocol is one of those discoveries that um, we made because of the Italian connection.
Hmm.
Silver's Italian. And we heard about him. We went and met with the ownership there, and Luciano Catafavi, who has since passed away,
Hmm.
basically said, "No, I want nothing to do with the U.S. market. You guys are too litigious. All you do is sue everybody." And
Wow.
he was selling in 87 countries, and he didn't want to expose his company to the U.S. market.
Hmm.
We talked him into that. He warmed up to it, and we became the 90th country selling Lidocol. And they're best known for their environmentally friendly, easy to use, but very fashion forward grouting product. No pesticides in it, no VOCs. It's all what they call zero risk products. It's
Mm-hmm.
the only epoxy that's non hazardous. And right now, if you just Google epoxy tile grout, I hope everybody watching this does, we come up number one and number two on Google for that search term because we're the only non hazardous epoxy, so we can ship any.
That's quite a claim to fame. The only non-hazardous epoxy that's also easy to use, but also has a lot of different colors to choose from, which seems like that's pretty unique as well.
Yeah, grout's been such an afterthought and still kind of is in the U.S. market.
Mm-hmm.
People, I talk to people all the time. They bought their tile, but they never gave a thought to grout.
Mm-hmm.
The contractor will show up when he's installing it and say, "Okay, you need to pick a grout," and they'll go, "Oh," and he'll show them a set of grout channels that are made out of plastic and say, "Well, what do you want?" And they'll say, either of those two grays will probably be fine." Where grout's the only installation product that's visible after the installation,
Mm-hmm.
it affects the final maintenance more than anything. The tile's very robust, but the grout's always the weakest link.
Mm.
And Lidocol solves that, and that's changing the business worldwide. We're I call us a baked dirt, which is tile, and dirt
Mm-hmm.
in the bag industry, which is grout, right? Or thinset. So we're slow to evolve. I remember, somebody said that tile installers would still have rotary phones if they made them. So we tend to use what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
We jokingly call ourselves tile heads. That's what we know. And so changing is not easy, especially for installers like you interviewed Jimmy Reed. You know, people like that. He's doing a pool with all glass tile, and a failure could be $300,000-$400,000.
Yeah.
So getting somebody like that to look at a new system where maybe they're having a small rate of failure or no failure or whatever, but it's palatable, is
Mm-hmm.
a difficult change. We got to really show them a reason why. And sometimes it's the customer who says, you know what, I want that, and let's use it. So,
It's an awareness campaign, isn't it? In a lot
yeah,
of ways.
we kind of win every time when we have 10 minutes with the customer, the final customer, because you say, look, switch to epoxy from the dirt in the bag that grandfather used, right? Switch to epoxy. It may be $120 more on the total cost of the project for the material, and yet now you have a grout that doesn't crack, it doesn't shrink, it doesn't fade.
Water resistant.
It's waterproof. It's
Yeah.
actually impervious. So, for the smallest percentage investment on the overall project, you solve the weakest link. And that's what really has to be communicated is this is kind of like compromise elsewhere is a saying that you've heard me use, right?
Yes.
It's the last place to compromise on the ground.
And it's so interesting that there have been people who have literally designed their tile projects around that grout in some cases, right?
I was in a showroom one time in Augusta, Georgia, and I brought our samples out, and there was this lady that came in that had red shoes, red dress, red purse, and she probably drove a red car. I didn't go out and
Probably.
verify that. She saw our red grout, and that's what it was, a gold fleck in it, right? The gold shimmer. And she goes, "Okay, I found my grout. Now I need to find my tile."
Oh my
So, I
gosh.
mean, that's a rare case, but it happens. I mean, we get people that will call us and say, "I didn't even know this existed." That's the normal conversation we have about
Mm-hmm.
grouting. Wow, I didn't know this existed. How much do I need? Where do I get it? And then how much does it cost? If cost is number one, they're probably not an epoxy customer.
Mm-hmm.
They're really not our customer. But all of that aside, it solves all the problems and gives you a nice fashion.
It's so true. I mean, it's exciting. It's almost like um, I wouldn't say bringing sexy back, but you're you're instilling sexy into the tile industry with this type of a grout, right? That has all of these
Yeah, I mean,
attributes.
it really is. I mean, we have colors that no one else can deliver, and I've had people call and they're doing just white subway tile, but they want our turquoise grout.
Mm,
Then they say that's what I want. So there's a lot of that, and we have a product line called Jewels
mm-hmm.
that is literally like jewelry for the tile industry. It's really bright glass grout colors, and it's just really caught on.
That's so, I mean, it's just so cool. So, as you're talking about this and a lot of the products that you have mentioned so far, one thing keeps standing out, and that is the eco-friendly sustainability aspect of these things. How important is that to you overall in general in the work that you do and the products that you put out?
Well, I used to spend a lot of my time in the John Muir Wilderness as a kid, and I used to pick up everybody else's trash.
Mm.
So that's important to me.
Mhm.
Uh, I always look at every product like that, and certainly we have products that remove our grout that are a little bit more toxic than we'd like them to be, but they serve a purpose when something has gone wrong.
Mhm.
But 99.9% of the time, it's all about these green chemistries, and the flooring industry is getting more in tune to that.
Mhm.
There's a flooring sustainability summit we had this year, hosted by TCNA's Bill Greasy.
Mhm.
I know you interviewed him, and our focus is on how we're sustainable, and certainly tile is, but a lot of times, I shouldn't say a lot of times, almost every time overlooked is how unsustainable some of the installation products are.
Yeah.
That's where these Lidocol products came from, a result of a European Union funded project called Project Zero, which stood for Zero Environmental Risks in Our Building. The EU actually paid for this to lower the TOX classification and safety risks for installers down to zero in
Mm.
all of its flooring products. So right now, the others that compete with us in the market, warning symbols on their product includes, danger with a skeleton, or a dead fish, or a dead tree, an exploding lung,
Oh my gosh.
and being eaten away by corrosive chemistry. And all of ours is just an exclamation point that just says irritant.
Mm.
So it's just, I mean, generationally better than what's in the market today that can perform at the level we do.
That's amazing. And it's just amazing too that there is still, like you had mentioned before, like a lack of awareness, like for the general public, the folks out there that are the DIYers, maybe even some designers and architects who still need to know that there are products that are consciously being produced to be more friendly to the environment and to human beings, you know, non-toxic basically.
Yeah, like I said, if they're a dirt in the bag customer, they're not our customer.
Mhm.
If they're a trade up customer, which most people can be with a quick conversation and say, solve the weakest link, whatever, that customer, all we have to do is tell them our story. And every time they're like, yeah, that's what we want. Sometimes they run into an obstacle where the contractor will say, look, I've used epoxies before. They're harder to do. I want to charge you more, but ours are not. So again, it's another conversation there with the contractor to say it's safer for the contractor. It's just as easy as regular grout, and then the customer gets what they want.
Yes, that's the other aspect. Like you mentioned, it's not that difficult epoxy that people keep associating with, right? It's not
Right.
that difficult to prepare and use.
It's not, and we have other products too for adhesives that are the same way. And there's just a lot of advances. And, Italy is the tile producing region of the world. All the
Hmm.
innovation comes from there, and that's where this innovation is from. So,
Yeah, I mean, Italy is known for producing some incredibly high quality things, from cars to the tile industry, everything. There's so many food. So
yeah.
if the other projects and other products that you have um, that you'd like to share that you want to kind of like put the spotlight on to have more awareness around, like the Versalite Stone or like the Scrub Doctor pads that are again back to sustainability and eco-friendly.
Yeah, the pads that we use for cleaning the grout, there's other pads uh, for that serve different cleaning purposes. And so we came up with an idea about this brand called Scrub Doctor,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of plays on the Scrub Daddy thing or the Tile Doctor thing, but internally, and we've launched that where now we sell those pads that are not only made 100% post-consumer recycled from bottles, they're biodegradable in a landfill.
Mm-hmm.
So we're selling those, just starting to sell those into the market today, where people can use these Scrub Doctor pads and use no or very just neutral cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
All the cleaning is done with the power of the scrub pad, not a chemistry. So you can do everything from clean your barbecue grill or your commercial stove top with the black ones to
Mm-hmm.
cleaning tires and wheels, and the white one, the non-scratch one that we clean our grout with, take bugs off the paint of your car with. So
That's incredible.
they do a lot of different things. And then the Versalite stone is a product that we came up with a few years ago that was made in India. It's just a thin stone veneer. And again, we used to show it to people and they'd look at us funny. And then, but now the thin tiles are big in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
Thin is in, right? As they say. And so people understand this thin stone veneer like not before they did. So we're starting to get a lot of play on that also. And that's, just Versa Light, LIT stone.
Right. And you can use that on the wall and on the flooring, right?
Well, that's new. The flooring is a new, we came up with a topical armor that'll go on it, that'll make it heavy duty residentially floor rated. We're not going
Mm-hmm.
to make a commercial plunge yet. But up until now, it's really been sold mostly for wall covering applications. We have a lot of jobs done in hospitality.
Mm.
They'll do the walls behind the beds and the rooms, things like that. But now with this flooring, it's a very thin, real stone uh, flooring product that can be glued down just like vinyl.
And that's a game changer right there. I mean, because there's so many people that like want to either get rid of old carpet, or they don't want to do hardwoods, or maybe they don't even want to use the new luxury vinyl tiles. But this having like real stone is kind of a game changer.
Well, I mean, stone is sort of the ultimate luxury item for a floor.
Mm-hmm.
There are houses that I've been in where people have gone to the quarries in Italy and picked out their slabs and brought the stone over. It's that kind of a luxury type of thing.
Right.
But what we're able to do is deliver these large format, even a 24 by 48, a 12 by 48, even a 4 foot by 9 foot piece of stone that literally you can roll up, put in a box, and UPS it. Um, but we deliver it to people that can get a very, very high end floor for a third the price of any other type of stone. So, and again, the flooring armor product that we haven't actually put the name to it yet, but that's kind of where we're leaning. It's what makes it floor rated. It's a thin stone veneer that could be easily scratched if it wasn't protected properly, but it gives you the durability exceeding a wood floor for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can get for slightly more than a plastic based, printed flooring product, you can get real stone.
That is so cool. That's like one of those, again, which was something that you'd mentioned were part of the goals of your company was to move into true innovation, which is so fun to hear about all these different products, again, that
Yeah.
maybe a lot of the public don't know about, and even some professionals. So it's going to be really exciting to be able to share this on the podcast. What are some of your goals, like moving into 2025? Do you have anything you'd want to share with us?
Well, just to expand the awareness of the product that we have. I mean, we're sort of at the tip of the iceberg with the Litical product and the Versalite. Again, there's some of these things, but you know, some of the best things come from your customers.
Mm.
Best ideas, the best things the ideas. That's where this podcast is. I was seriously right when we first started talking about it. I was at a pool show in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
This contractor comes up to me and he goes, "You know what? It's time to up my game." He said, "I need to know more about your products because I need to learn to up my game." He said, "I want to leave all my competitors, who most of them I train, in the dust." He said, "And I can do that by using the Litical products, is what I've been learning." And
Mm.
they came to us. This guy came to us, and he's the one that coined the phrase. And I started thinking, it's kind of cool. Other people could, maybe get something from that. Upping your tile game. And that's really this whole podcast that I'd love to advance in, is really not product centric. I know we're interviewing me and we're talking about products, but it's really about the industry and
Yes.
what others have done and can teach us to up their game. How to make the tile industry better. And we're a close knit family. I mean, I've got relationships that go back to high school with people that have since retired in our business. That ran some of the biggest companies.
Mm-hmm.
On and on. And those people are all real special to me. for those long-term relationships, even though we've been competitors over the years. It's not always that way at some of these events. We can share a drink and share an old story, about when we went water skiing together and all those different things that we used to do. I have one customer that I use an example that some people have heard before is Coors Light.
Mm-hmm.
It became the silver bullet, not because some smart person in Coors marketing came up with that slogan. The customers started saying, "Hey, throw me a silver bullet."
Oh, really?
They came up with the name, and finally Coors listened, and they started calling it the silver bullet. So that's what a customer did for them, right? And we have that same situation with us where, I had a contractor call me one time and say, "God, that is just badass grout." You know, he said, "That is just amazing. Your stuff is badass." And then, I had another customer who's in the pool industry. He started the Facebook group Badass Grout Club, which here's the merchandise behind me. The official membership merchandise of
I
Badass Grout. So the Badass Grout Club, this is the official member hat that a lot of them are wearing out there. And they started the club. They made me an administrator, which I don't like. These are customers that started this club. And I don't know how many members now. It's not, 10,000 or anything, but there's a lot of people that are sharing their badass grout stories daily on Facebook.
and that's a testament again to the product and why you wanted to distribute it so much and that you went so far to get them to go from no to yes, which
Yeah.
is so awesome. And again, it's about it really kind of goes right back to up in your tile game. And so many of the conversations that we've had with the different people on the podcasts we've done so far, just talking about that community, talking about sharing the information, the excitement, the stories, the commitment, has been really, really interesting. And so,
Yeah.
really
I mean, you
exhilarating to hear.
interviewed Frank Donahue for what he did for the hurricane relief efforts. And, the very selfless guy,
Mm-hmm.
that's respected in the industry for a lot of reasons. But, he just got in, and a bunch of other tile people did the same thing. He presented at Total Solutions what other people in the industry did that I wasn't even aware of. But
Yeah.
it's a very close knit group. We all know each other.
Yeah.
We
And
do.
I love that part of it because, again, it is about the community here. The whole podcast is connecting community, sharing ideas about how we up our tile game and, just continue to grow. But I just felt like it was just time to come and have you on the show. And it's so funny having you on your own show, which is so funny to me. But to
Well,
have you
it's
on,
it's it's your show. It's the industry show. I'm the
yes,
sponsor, and and the guy came up and gave me the idea, but
isn't that funny?
I'll take that much credit.
Yes, sir. But I just think it's great so that we can continue on that theme as we move into 2025 to continue to share and grow the community and just make this a go-to for all our comrades to learn and grow and share.
Yeah, I look forward to many, many more. And my goal, as I've told you, is that everybody in the industry knows about this, and everybody gleans information, contributes, they learn
Hmm.
from it, and it becomes something that maybe everybody listens on their drive to work or whatever. There's something to get out of it.
Absolutely. All right, Curt. Well, thanks so much for being on the show today. And I'll let you get on to your busy schedule as I know you have.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.
Thanks to everybody watching, right?
Yeah, exactly.